What's going on, everybody? Welcome to All Girls Garage. Now, if you've been following along with my career or Faye's career at all, we both tend to like kind of the oddball cars, maybe a little bit of the underdog cars, and this is definitely an episode that is all about that. This is an AMC Spirit. It's an 82, but it's extra unusual because it has an engine out of a 79 AMX that has been built up, raced, performanced, all sorts of fun stuff. And we've got some really fun stuff in store to do to it today. Not only some modifications, some changes, but we also have some special guests.
Absolutely. So the owner is a lady. She is super cool, and she's really into this car.
Yes.
She actually has another one that she shows her Javelin, which is like pristine, picture perfect. So she's a true enthusiast, and she actually does plan on daily driving this thing. So right now she's got some concerns. She thinks that there's something wrong with the carburetor. We don't blame her. Right now she goes to start it up, and it doesn't even want to start. Like, she pretty much has to like foot to the floor on this thing. Doesn't really idle, and drives really not great. So she wants to enjoy it. That is why it is here today. We're going to start with pulling this thing off because we think that there's something internal going on. And also, at the very least, it is way too big, so we're hoping to replace it.
Oh, there they go.
This originally came with a six-cylinder,
yeah.
and this is a 304 with a cam in it.
Oh, but of course.
Yeah, of course.
And a massive carburetor.
yeah. So this is what, a 750 CFM carburetor, which is kind of more than enough.
Let go. Yeah. Okay, you're free.
Yeah.
You're free. All right, there we go.
Yes, that is a big carburetor for that engine.
What's going on, Riley?
Nothing much.
Glad you could make it. Faye, you remember meeting Riley at
Oh,
SEMA,
my God,
of course.
Mm-hmm.
We met Riley at SEMA this past year, and we were both so taken with you. Not only is she a phenomenal female carburetor specialist, but she's also, how old?
17. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
How cool is that, guys? I mean, that's insane. And you have your own business doing this.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Well, basically, it started off with my dad and I, about 13 years old. He told me how to buy my first car. So went out to the garage, found something, picked it up, and rebuilt it. Obviously, it was a carburetor. And then about 6 months ago, we blew up on social media, and I had too many carburetors to handle. So I hired my 4 best friends that are also girls. So after school in the garage, rebuilding carburetors.
I wish I was half the put together when I was 17. But
For real.
That's amazing.
So,
and also,
so
like, this
cool.
is something that I tend to stay away from older cars in my personal shop, like 96 and newer, because these are, they're a little difficult. So I'm really stoked that we have you here today as an expert to, I'm sure I can learn a thing or two from you.
The
so
minute
this
I knew
is
we were
awesome.
doing a carburetor, I was like, we've got to call Riley because,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of the same as you.
I see you brought some tools and a couple new carburetors for us.
Surprise,
So
some goodies.
I'm
Nice,
stoked.
we like
All right.
goodies. Let's go check
Shall
it out, shall we?
Yeah, let's go check it out.
All right.
I'm so excited. It's amazing. All right, so tell us, Riley, what are your first impressions of our customer's lovely carburetor here?
Yeah, definitely. So this is a great drag carb. Don't get me wrong, but you guys said that the customer is going to just be cruising on the street, not
daily driving.
Daily driving. So that's where this carburetor comes in hand. The main difference between these two is the gas lies in the bowls here, and once the gas gets between the bowl and this dries up, the gas will leak through the motor. So if you're not running your car all the time, getting it going as a drag car would be, you're gonna need to be replacing it. It's just not the best for a street car.
Okay.
Also, if you just take a look really quickly, there's an electric choke here, but no electric choke flap.
No choke at all.
Which means this was heavily modified for drag. You can see there's numbers here. So there's going to be a 31. That's going to be for squirters. And then that's a 7, and I'm going to guess it's like 71, which is going to be for a primary jets inside, which are very big. Those are definitely changed, which means probably you're going to have your floater in here is changed, your accelerator pump spring is changed, your power valve's going to be bigger or changed as well. So very modified.
Ton of modifications and unnecessary for what
for a
she's
street car.
driving.
It's a wonderful drag car.
That might be why we couldn't get the thing to start up right all
That could be it. Should we take this one apart just for funsies and see what kind of modification
Yeah, we
there?
definitely can do that.
We got some tools over here. Excellent.
Yeah.
Awesome. There we go. I'm so curious to see what else is under here. What other modifications have been done? Totally. Oh, there we go. There's all the fuel. There we go. All right. I want to talk with you real quick about this whole, like, bigger is better kind of mindset that so many folks have. You've got a theory on carburetors. Talk to me about carburetors and size. How do we know what size to put on our car?
We say, my dad and I say, fast air is fun.
Okay.
So, and you get fast air through small carburetors. So a lot of people have the problem of thinking their engine is this big, bad engine that they need to go crazy, like 850, 750.
Like, more.
But that actually doesn't, it hurts your car more. It's not going to give you what you need versus a smaller CFM, we call it. So this is like a 500, so right away, when you put your foot down to the pedal, it's going to take off. Smaller is always better. It's better to have a smaller carburetor and go up a size than it is to have too big of a carburetor and go down a size.
Do people argue with you on this one a lot?
Yeah. They're like, you're not an expert on this. So I'm like, okay. Okay.
I love it. So we'll get it on, get it bolted up, get it hooked up, and then we can do the tuning?
Yeah.
You're going to stick around and help us with that, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time I tuned a carburetor. All right, let's roll this over there.
Are you hearing that dreaded clicking sound while cornering? Feeling a vibration while driving? Well, these are all signs of a failing CV axle. And before you let that click turn into a thump and then a wheel that doesn't turn anymore, make sure to replace it with a high-quality one, like this TrackMotive Premium CV axle. TrackMotive's new high-carbon, one-piece hollow center bars are precisely designed to counteract your car's natural NVH, or noise, vibration, and harshness frequency, just like the OE axle. They also feature flat spline axle joints, which reduce the play in the splines, which also leads to a quieter ride. Check out TrackMotive's premium CV axles with one-piece tuned hollow center bars. Welcome back to All Girls Garage. Riley and I, Riley the carburetor specialist from Riley's Rebuild, just finished or wrapping up our installation of this carburetor, and we are getting ready to tune it. So, what do you got for us, Riley?
So when you said wrapping up, we just have to put our springs on. So normally we have one spring. What we brought for classic cars is there's accidents that happen, and a lot of times it's because the singular spring breaks. And so what we have is a safety spring. So
There you go.
when it does break, you are not left on wide open throttle.
Oh my gosh, and having a runaway vehicle. Definitely don't want to
Probably
run away.
really
Really good call.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Good call.
right.
So,
And
after
then
we get
once
these
that's
installed-
hooked up,
Yep.
then we can go ahead and get started on all of our settings. What do you recommend as far as your process? What do you
Yeah.
normally do?
So my process, first we do timing, fuel pressure, and then timing will just be attached, and then I'll just put the vacuum on, and I'll just read both the vacuum and the fuel pressure, and you can read the timing.
We'll do it all at once.
Yes.
All
What do you guys
right.
think? Ready
Very
for me to
quick.
start the car?
Yep.
Yeah, let's
All
go
right.
for it.
Here we go.
All right. And then let it settle. There we go. Bring it down up. There we go. We're pretty close.
So do one of them. See how that went down?
Uh-huh.
We're gonna go back. Go the other way. So right there. There we go. So that's probably gonna be our best number right there. Yeah.
Do I go ahead and cut it for now? Awesome.
What'd you guys find?
All good, honestly.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Fuel pressure was good.
Yeah, fuel pressure was good.
Awesome.
Timing was right on point.
Cool. Cool.
And then
Yeah.
I fixed the idle screws up with the vacuum gauge. That was good. We put it to 1,000, and then we dropped it back to 800. So those are good. And
Yeah, it
then-
sounded fantastic.
yeah, it was sounding nice. Last thing is going to be the springs.
All right.
That are going to be right here.
All right.
So what we're going to do is we're going to just lightly take this apart a little bit so that these lids can flip over.
Okay.
And we're going to keep them almost like halfway on.
Okay.
And what's going to happen is these will shoot down. like shoot instantly down into the carb. And then we're gonna
These little things right here?
yes.
And what are these little things, Riley?
Those are your metering rods.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you turn the car, they shoot down, and then we're gonna throttle it, and they should shoot up instantly. What happens is a lot of the times the manufacturing throws them out with what they're called orange springs, and so that's the 5 HPs. Most of the time, carbs need a bigger spring.
Okay.
So the vacuum gauge was about 16, but we're gonna go. You half that, and that's your spring size.
Go ahead, start it up.
All right, fire in the hole.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. See how they drop down,
Pop right down, yep.
and
And then flip that throttle.
yep. See how they're not popping up?
Yeah, and they should.
They should. It should be an instant pop up.
Okay, awesome.
Here you go. So we were at orange, which was our 5-ish.
Okay, got it.
And pink was the next one that we were going to go to.
All
but
right.
because
We
it
got
did
a
not
bit
shoot
more.
up at
We're going for the big
all,
boys.
we're going to go
Yeah.
fully silver.
All right,
Let's-
fantastic.
let's
Fully
do it.
silver it
All
is.
right, show us how that's
Cool.
done.
Okay,
Yeah.
so first we have to take these out, and it's very prominent that you are very careful with these coming out, because sometimes the spring will come with them.
Oh, yes.
So there's your
Because
orange
we don't want you to
spring.
shoot that
Yes, and
or have it drop down into the engine.
yeah,
Pull that spring out, Riley?
Yeah.
Pull it out? All right,
yeah,
cool.
that'll take a 30-minute project into.
Yeah, no, we don't
An
want
hour
to. We don't
and
want to
a
do
half.
that.
No, thanks.
There you go.
Nice.
And then we take
Alright.
our silvers.
We'll not drop them in the end.
Be careful.
So much pressure.
So much pressure. All right, there we go. All right. Cut down, and then flip it. So that's a little blip up. There we go. That one popped.
That one got stuck.
Oh,
That happens. That'll be fine.
because of it.
You're good.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead and cut it. This sounds so much better already. I am so stoked, and I am like thrilled that you were able to come down in your busy day and come help us out. I want to keep you here for forever.
I know, I learned so much
I
about tuning
know.
carburetors, and I'm sure that y'all learned a bunch from Riley as well. So definitely be sure to check her out, check out Riley's rebuilds, and thank you so much again for helping us out with this
Really,
project.
really.
Our
Thank you
customers
for
are gonna be
having
so
me.
stoked.
It's so much fun.
All right, guys. Well, we are going to let you guys take a break. We're going to say goodbye to Riley, and when we get back, we are going to change out these hideous yellow spark plug wires for something that looks a little bit better. It was one of the concerns on our customers' checklist, and we have to say we agree. So
Yeah.
we'll see you in a bit.
They're pretty bad.
All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Seriously, you're awesome. This benchtop throatless hand shear from Woodward Fab is really small and compact, which makes it perfect for a shop of any size without taking up valuable real estate. Yet it's strong enough to cut through metal up to 14 gauge. Its throatless design means you can cut through sheet metal of any length, and the arched blade allows you to easily cut curves or even circles. And as a person of smaller stature, I love the gear reduction handle, which makes it so much easier to operate. So if you're shopping for a shear, be sure to check out this benchtop throatless hand shear from Woodward Fab.
Welcome back to All Girls Garage. Riley helped us get our carburetor all tuned up, and now, as Bowie alluded to before we went to break, we're going to be replacing these spark plug wires.
We're going with these very low resistance and high insulation
Really nice.
spark plug wires. So they
Yeah.
reduce any interference from noise. They also, like electric noise we're talking about, not sound noise, just to be clear. And they're also very low resistance, so you make sure that like all of the good stuff gets down to the spark plug and not lost within the spark plug wire.
We're going to make sure that everything is super neat, wires aren't crossing, nothing's rubbing, and we're going to make our own.
And then
That's the thing you only did it 180. You got to do 360.
Okay, once you get it, it just comes.
okay, hold it. Yep. And bend. Okay. So, we got one side done. But basically what we did, we took everything, we routed it, we measured it, we figured out, and see these nice little marks where we wanted our insulation to end,
Right.
where the boot's going to go so that it can sit nice and neat and pretty. Labeled them so we don't have any issues with that. And then we're going to do the same thing on these that we did on those, which is show you how to cut and crimp them. And there's a couple of different ways that you can do that.
Absolutely. So this tool that I got in my hand right here actually came in our kit with the spark plug wires. So if you've got just this,
Totally
awesome.
works.
Everything we're going to do, you can do with just this tool and a bench vise and a razor blade. However, for us, we thought it was worth the investment to get this actual tool because, we're not doing just one set of these. So, and it makes our lives a little easier. So we'll show you sort of both ways. We are, however, using this tool to measure how much of the conductor we want to stick outside of the insulation when we go to install our terminal end here. So
Nice little guide.
Yeah.
So whatever is protruding, that part's going to be electrode. And so we're going to cut there, and then let's go ahead and mark
it.
Those wires are so nice.
They really are. Yep.
There we go. Beautiful.
There we
Just
have
like that.
our,
And while you're doing the others, I'll go ahead and put boots on. It's going. There we go. Nice.
Oh, wow.
Look at
And
that.
you just you fill it.
Just ratchet, crimp it down, and then we're going to use the leverage of this to make our 90. Boom. Release.
And
look at that.
Reboot.
All right. Next. Boom.
And bam. I'm going to start with 8 all the way in the back.
Okay. There we go.
Bogey and Faye have the spark plug wires swapped out. Next, they'll fix one final problem with the AMC, and that problem is heat. They'll find a way to keep the hot exhaust out of the cab of the car.
I am one of those people that cannot ever sell a car. I get so attached to them all, and I drive them all. Just the 4 that run have well over 1 million miles combined. Now, since I can't drive them all at once, I'm constantly rotating them all through storage. Grab a bottle of Bardol No Smoke Plus Stop Leak. This synthetic formula treats the seals and causes them to swell and regain pliability to stop those leaks. And since it can also free up stuck piston rings, you can also get improved compression, restored performance, and reduced tailpipe smoke. So to be sure the only smoke that you're leaving behind comes from burning rubber, be sure to grab a bottle of Bardol No Smoke with Stop Leak.
All right, so we have gotten 2 of our customers' concerns resolved, carburetor and spark plug wires, but there's a third that we have not told you about, and that is an excessive amount of heat getting into the passenger cabin area. And that is,
I can tell you from personal experience that is not pleasurable for a daily driver.
No,
so.
and that's, she's got a different engine in there. It's been modded out. It's high performance. This has definitely been stripped down to bare minimum. So it just gets real hot in there, and we want to resolve that for her.
Exactly. So we're going to do that by wrapping these sections of exhaust. You can see up in the front, we've already got the headers ceramic coated, which is lovely, definitely doing some help. But back here, we pretty much just have a bare exhaust pipe up against the footwell where actually the seats are in the cabin. So that is that's no good.
This should decrease the temperatures significantly, and then we'll see how she likes it. But let's show you the wrap and what we're going to be doing with that.
Yeah.
So, this is the magic. If you've never worked with this stuff before, it can be a little... Yes, definitely wear gloves. It can be a little bit tricky. We've had this soaking in water, which is something you definitely want to do before you go to wrap it. It's going to make it much more malleable. It's going to make it easier to wrap. We took it out just to show you. We're going to stick it back in the water while we're removing the exhaust, so it stays nice and wet. But, then we've just got some little clampy doos that hold it in place.
Yep, and then lastly we'll be spraying it. But yeah, what Bogey said is so important. If you just take this right out of the package and then just start, touching it, you're going to have those little flakes of fiberglass come off. They're going to get into your skin. They're going to get on your clothes. And that is just unpleasant for everybody.
Ooh,
so
yes.
definitely.
And it doesn't flex as well when it's dry.
That too.
Do
Yeah,
the
so a whole
wrapping
bunch of reasons
thing
why
that
you
it's supposed to be
do
doing.
that step.
Yeah.
I understand we don't want to get wet. It's a little bit more messy. So, all right, let's get that exhaust out.
All right, let me get this back in the water.
Good.
If you want to grab tools and get started.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to cut it, unfortunately.
Three?
Yep. Amazing.
A couple of tips for success on these things is, one, make sure you're pulling it really tight when you're wrapping it and getting that appropriate overlap. Make sure you're
2 people. That was really helpful.
That was very helpful. And then getting these clamps really tight is very important. There is a special tool for tightening them, but of course you can get away with just using needle nose and just twisting them up, and that works fine. But then the big tip that a lot of people don't do is to actually do a final kind of silicone spray coating on top that's specifically designed to kind of lock it all in and help protect it and keep it sustaining for a long time.
Okay, well, that explains why I've never had a successful exhaust bath before. So we're gonna finish this up, get this welded back in, and then we can take a test drive and finish treating our carburetor under, driving conditions. Okay, folks,
All right.
just gonna point out that we just passed by 2 stop signs, and we stopped, mind you. And the car did not die while stopped. We have effectively repaired our idle issue. So that's gonna make this a lot easier for her to daily drive, for sure. And it feels really nice, like it is running smooth.
It's running super smooth. I'm super happy with it. I don't think we're going to have to make any further adjustments.
I don't think so either.
We're doing some final checks while we're test driving it to make sure that everything is good, but I think we're good. It feels fantastic. And can I just say how awesome it was having Riley at the shop to help us out with this? That was so much fun. She's like hope for the future.
I know, this thing sounds so sick, dude. If I daily drove this thing, I would feel like $1 million.
This herd is fun.
Time to hit the road?
Time to hit the road, and we'll see you guys